Hello everyone, I am Surrenderlot Reviews and I'm back, and I'm ready to look at some more Beast Wars. But before I get started, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and if I can't convince you, perhaps this picture of my kitten will convince you. And, random fact about my cat society is that my cat claims he was the one who invented the burrito. But without further ado, let's get into this. So, the first episode we're gonna look at is The Web, where Cheetor gets to get some, one-on-one time with Tarantulas, and by that I mean, not very nice one-on-one time. But without further ado, let's get into this! So, the episode starts out with Rhinox finishing up on making this thing here that basically should help the Maximals with long-range communication, and they need a way to test it, and luckily Cheetor volunteered for it. And in the process of testing it, well, he, discovers an explosion that was caused by Scorponok, and he goes to investigate. And unfortunately, while investigating, he finds out that Scorponok isn't quite alone, and Tarantulas is there, and yeah, he gets beaten pretty badly before Optimus Primal can get there. And then we get this scene here.
Now it's just you and me, mega jerk. They never learn.
And when will you learn, pussycat?
Scorponok, terrorize!
Anyways, so after Cheetor gets a bit of a reprimanding from Optimus, well, Optimus has to go form a plan to go take out the Mega Cannon, and Cheetor decides to go off alone to, go fix his mistake. And while fixing his mistake, he, gets ambushed by Tarantulas and, is in his web, and we get this, admittedly pretty creepy scene here. Okay, if I'm being perfectly honest, I didn't really think that this episode started off really that strong, and, this episode also does have a bit of an issue with some of the animations kind of glitching, and, kind of seeming like, they maybe needed a little bit more time, just, you know, for touching up and sanding down some of the rough edges, but, this scene here, I think it's kind of that scene that really benefits from, the computer-generated model being a lot more terrifying, especially with, you know, somebody like Tarantulas, who's a spider, and, with spiders definitely being very terrifying. Anyways, so Rat Trap goes to save Cheetor, and after a really interesting fight, well, Rat Trap does manage to save Cheetor from Tarantulas, and, yeah, I guess we're just gonna save the Mega Cannon for later, because, well, guess what? It's, not really brought up again. And Rat Trap gives a bit of a talk to Cheetor about not doing what he did again, and, well, the episode ends. Okay, to be honest, I don't think this episode's really the best. I mean, this episode's not bad, but I think its biggest problem is it's kind of just too predictable, and it's kind of just like that young character that eventually learns a lesson kind of story at the end of the day. I think the episode kind of just went by too quickly for my liking. I mean, don't get me wrong, this episode has some great moments, like that nightmare sequence, and also actually some pretty interesting action sequences, like that one near the end, and I will say that they did a good job with some creepy imagery with tarantulas, but the episode kind of just went by a little too quickly for my liking, and, yeah, that's kind of why I don't think it was really that good, especially compared to the first episode where it had a lot more time to, you know, go through the motions. And in all honesty, I kind of wish this episode maybe was also a bit of a two-parter. But I think with that, on to the next episode, which is Equal Measures, where we basically get to see that the Maximals and Predacons might be having a few technical problems with testing something. But without further ado, let's get into this. So the episode starts out with Optimus Primal doing some surveying, and he realizes something is off and asks to more or less shelve a certain mission because of some problems. Meanwhile, back at Maximal Base, they are working on something that'll give them a tactical advantage over the Predacons, and Optimus Primal returns to basically say that, yeah, they're shelving the mission, and Dinobot and Cheetor protest, and yeah, Primal basically just says his word's final, and they're shelving it. So Dinobot goes to convince Cheetor to basically do the plan anyway, and Cheetor does it. But something goes pretty horribly wrong in the process.
What's new, Pussycat? Did I get fried? Is this...
Welcome to the dark side, Pterosaur. Terrorize!
Anyways, so after a bit of a fight between Pterosaur and Cheetor, well, Cheetor makes it so that Pterosaur ends up accidentally getting transported to somewhere, but he can't really dwell on that too much because, well, he's deep inside enemy headquarters, and, yeah, he's, got a bit of a problem with some Predacons who are kind of after him, and he's able to get into the vents. Meanwhile, with Pterosaur...
Where'd he go? Where'd I go? Welcome to enemy arms, my former comrade. I hope you'll enjoy your stay. Dinobot. I don't know how you brought me here, traitor, but prepare to stain the deck! Wait! Could it be that an accident of technology in nature has actually created a transporter? Pterosaur, perhaps a truce is in order. A transporter? Oh yeah! So that's how that Kid Cat ended up in our base. And you hear interesting development. Yeah, say, we could turn our truce into an alliance, Dinobot! An alliance? To what end? Think of the cosmic magnificence. Together, we'll overthrow these low-grade metal knockoffs you've joined, and then rule the Predacons with 2 iron fists! Nothing can stop us!
You know, I just love how through this whole interaction with Dinobot, you could just tell he's planning something, and this is something that I will give the series over the original Generation 1 Transformers is, I guess with a bit more advanced computer technology in terms of animation, they were able to do a bit more storytelling with like animations instead of just with the voice acting, so that is something that I do really like in this scene here. Anyways, back with Cheetor in Predacon headquarters, well, he manages to temporarily evade the Predacons. And meanwhile with Dinobot and Pterosaur, well,
Simply coming in contact with the communication console. This initiated the transport. That's all I did. Nothing to it. Excellent. Then I should have no difficulty duplicating the procedure without you. What? Hey! What are you doing? We're partners! In case you had not realized, Needle Nose, I am not a team player.
and Dinobot is able to convince Optimus Prime to send a bomb to Predacon headquarters. But Cheetor discovers something that is a little disturbing in the sense of there's an energy vein that goes straight from Predacon headquarters to Maximal headquarters, where if there was an explosion on either end, it would basically take both out. And Cheetor ends up getting a disc to Maximal base, and Maximals end up sending a bomb over to, well, Predacon headquarters. And Cheetor is stuck with having to deal with the bomb. But luckily for the Predacons and Cheetor, and also the Maximals, well, he manages to disarm the bomb, or at least reduce the blast radius enough to get the bomb out of blowing up the Predacon base, and he gets transported back, despite the fact Megatron's so badly wanted him dead, and Maximals basically say good job, and the episode ends. And overall, I will say that this episode was definitely better than the last one. And I really like how Dinobot is developed as a character, where he's kind of manipulative, I guess you can say, but more in a way to complete his goals and, you know, destroying the Predacons, and kind of in a bit of a he'll lie and manipulate to basically achieve the greater good, which I really like, and I guess it kind of makes Dinobot a bit of a morally gray character, or at least good, but more or less willing to do some bad things to achieve his goals. And overall, I really like this episode. It definitely had more things to it than the last one, and it actually did some pretty good things, I'll be perfectly honest. Like, Dinobot's characterization, and, yeah, I will say that this was also a better Cheetor story than the last episode. But I think with that, that'll do it for today. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one!